Good morning, guys. This is day 2 of completing the square. I'm going to up it a little bit more challenging. The title of today is completing the square with an odd b, and also I'm going to do another example of and where the coefficient is greater than 1 for a. So again, I'm going to do the first example with something like this, where it's an odd number for the b, and then the next example I'm going to do is when the coefficient of the a is greater than 1. I'm going to do a couple of these for you, and also some combinations of both of these. So here's how we do this, and I'm only worried today about finding the vertex of the parabola. So you do not have to go the full length, also solve, just find the vertex. That's all I'm going to do for you today. So here's how you do this. So first things first, just make sure you can see this okay. So I got x squared minus 3x, and I'm going to put this like this. Let's just make this a little more space. Now I'm going to add something here. I got my minus 18. I'm going to minus something here as well, just like yesterday. I take half of this and square it. So half of 3 is, or negative 3, is negative 3 divided by 2. And I square that. So now this is going to be a positive because negative 3 halves to the power, I distribute this to this and to the denominator. So this is going to be plus 9 fourths. I brought in a 9 fourths. I must take out a 9 fourths. Okay? Now let's go to the next step. Simplify this down. So this is x minus half of this, which is 3 halves squared. Now, in order to add these, I need to have common denominators. So if I'm doing 18 times 4, I got to multiply top and bottom, I'm going to have 2 carry the 3, I'm going to have 72. So I'm going to have negative 72 fourths minus 9 fourths, which is going to get me equal to negative 81 fourths, okay? And this will not simplify, so we'll just leave it as such. Minus 81 fourths is equal to 0. Now, that I just did the math right here for you. You guys use calculators if you'd like. So that takes care of that. So this is the vertex of this particular parabola, and again, you just write it in vertex form because that's all I want you guys to do today, which is positive 3 halves comma negative 81 fourths. And it's also no surprise that this is top and bottom perfect square factors, because if I were to add this to both sides, get the square root, I'm going to get some rational answers. So that takes care of it, because this is all I want you guys to do is practice this process of dealing with an odd number, and because the odd number does not divide out evenly to a whole integer, just leave it in fraction form, carry out the rules of distributing the power to a fraction, top and bottom, don't forget that, and then last but not least, make sure you have a common denominator before you add. I know how much you guys hate fractions, so please practice this. Now, on to this one. A little more different, okay? So first things first, here's how you want to always do this for the sake of just finding the vertex of a parabola, of a quadratic. Take only the first two terms right here, 4x squared and negative 8x. So I got 4x squared and negative 8x, and then keep this guy outside. We don't care about him right now, we're going to get to him later. I need to divide out this 4 of both of these terms, because in order to do completing the square, I need this first term to be 1. So I'm going to now start my process. Minus 2x minus 32 minus something, and this is plus something. Half of negative 2 is negative 1. Negative 1 squared is positive 1. Now here's the trick. I'm not going to minus 1 over here because I didn't bring in a 1. I brought in a 4 times a 1. This is what I'm looking at. So because I really brought in a 4, I must take out a 4. Okay? That is the only thing you have to be aware of. Remember, you don't just do plus 1 minus 1, because now there's a 4 on the outside here because I divided this out originally. I brought in a 4, so I must take out a 4. Last but not least, I'm going to just go ahead and do my work. X minus 1 squared minus 36 equals 0. And your vertex is, that's right, 1, negative 36. And we are done with that example. I got 2 more I'm going to do with you. One kind of like this. The next one pretty hard that you might see on today's work. So use today's lesson to help get you through some of the work we do later. So let's do this one. I got 2x squared plus 6x minus 1 equals 0. Okay. So let's go. First things first, we're going to divide out the 2 of just these first 2 terms. So speed things up a little bit. I know this as x squared plus 3x, leave a little space, minus 1. All right, now remember, this is now the b is an odd number, so it's not going to be clean. It's going to be fraction, and how much you guys hate fractions. So I take, and I'm just going to do the work off to the side so you see it. Remember, 3 halves squared. Okay, so this is going to be plus, this will be minus. I'm adding 3, I'm sorry, distribute the 2 to the 3 and the 2, and I get 9/4. Now, be aware, I'm not minusing 9/4 here, because I actually brought in 2 times 9/4. And 2 times 9/4 is equal to 18/4. Okay, and always use common lowest terms. So divide out 2 on top and bottom, and I get 9/2. So I'm minusing 9/2. Okay? Last but not least, I want to make sure I beef this one up, so I'm just doing the work up to the side. This is really negative 2 minus 9/2, so this will equal negative 11/2. Last but not least, we're going to write this in vertex form. X plus 3/2 squared minus 11/2. So your vertex is negative 3/2, comma, negative 11/2. And we are done for a problem like this. I hope this process makes sense. Again, we're stopping right here. We're not solving for any of these quadratics today. I got one more example, which is kind of hard. So I understand if you got questions, and you can ask me in today's Q&A. So this one is 3x squared plus 2x minus 1 equals 0. Okay, so now I made this really difficult because now when I divide this coefficient out of this, I'm going to be left with a fraction. So 3x squared plus 2/3 x plus something minus 1 minus something. We'll get to that in a minute. So remember, I got to take half of this, or divide by 2. So just take half again off to the side. 2/3, taking half of it means the same as multiplying by 1/2. So this is equal to 2/6. Again, always use lowest terms because I like little numbers just like you do. 2/6 reduces down to 1/3. Now, take that 1/3 and square it. So now I'm left with, when I square that, there should be top and bottom, I'm left with 1/9. Okay? Now again, I'm not subtracting 1/9 because I didn't bring in a 1/9. I brought in 3 times 1/9. And 3 times 1/9, we'll do this up here so you see it. 3 times 1/9 is equal to 3/9, which reduces down to 1/3. So I'm subtracting 1/3. Just like this. My last thing, and again, this one's hard because of all the stuff with the fractions, the rules of exponents, the making sure that I multiply this against this like I did here, and then reduce this to lowest terms. My last thing I do is I got to subtract this. This is the same as negative 3/3 minus 1/3, which equals negative 4/3. So your final answer is 3x plus, right here, 1/3 squared minus 4/3. So your vertex is going to be negative 1/3, comma, negative 4/3. I hope this makes sense. I will be available for about an hour today to answer all your questions. Please show up and we'll get through it. Talk to you guys soon.